Hi, my name is Khleif, and I'm the host of the Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing podcast. And every week I interview multifamily rock stars, and we talk about how they've built incredible wealth for themselves and their families through multifamily properties. So hit the like and subscribe buttons to get notified every Monday when a new episode comes out. Let's get to it. Welcome to another edition of Lifetime Cash Flow Through Real Estate Investing. I'm Khleif, and I am absolutely thrilled that you're here. And I'm super delighted to have the guest that I have on the show today. He's just an incredible human being. We met really, I think, on Clubhouse and had a lot of interaction, and he's just a humble guy, but incredibly successful. His name's Alvin Hope Johnson, and he's got about a $250 million empire. I'm not going to steal his thunder and tell you about his story, but he's also president of the Hope Housing Foundation. You know, he has a lot of affordable housing units, and just really excited to dig in with Mr. Johnson today. Alvin, welcome to the show, brother.
Rod, thank you, man. Glad to be here with you today. It really is an honor and a pleasure.
Well, really. That's kind of you to say, and I feel the same way. So, you know, I know you've got a really a rags to riches kind of a story, and I would love to have you elaborate on that because I think it'll really inspire some of my listeners.
Well, man, thanks, Rod. This is my second one, but this one will stick, right? It just started. I'll tell you this time in my life, I volunteered for a guy at 44 years old that had 16,000 units of apartments. And that's how I got started in this space. And after 13 months with him, he died in a car wreck. And I became the president of his $1 billion plus entity because there was a succession plan that the board of directors didn't like. And so because I had served my way into that space, there I was. And I learned so much, man. And so coming from a place of a guy helping me because I went to help him gave me a different light in this industry. And then it sounds really great that I fell into the president's seat of an entity that had that many apartments, but it was in 2009. So it was really not a great time to be in that spot with a whole lot of assets that were troubled with the financing. And so I learned a whole lot more by sitting at the table with $1,000 an hour attorneys and unwinding this behemoth of a company that had over 180 entities that involved only 66 apartment complexes. So that's where a lot of my institutional knowledge of this business came, along with a lot of practical knowledge of being in the construction industry and in the mortgage business for so long prior to getting into this space. So it's just kind of a perfect storm. And here I am, 12 years later.
Well, you're so humble. You didn't really do it justice, in my opinion. I mean, I'm reading your bio, and you were a handyman. You were selling painting. You did repair services door to door, which obviously is incredible sales experience. And my son, I've sold door to door. My son sells door to door, and there's no greater sales experience than that. So you had to help dissolve this giant entity in the crash of 2008 and 9.
I did.
Is that right? Yeah.
I did.
Wow.
Yeah.
I lost 50 million back then myself. So I have the scars as well, but it's wow. What an incredible education, trial by fire education. Wow. That's something.
So Rod, let me ask you, with you losing 50 million in that time and me in that same kind of situation, with us going into where we are today in this impending recession.
Yeah.
What do you see?
Or depression, depending on who you ask. Okay. Kiyosaki is saying it's going to be the worst thing we've ever seen, and he's not a stupid man. Now has been saying that for a while, but, eventually he's going to be right, and he could be. And, I'm going into it optimistically because I actually believe there'll be incredible opportunity if it happens, and if it happens to the degree that he thinks. I think even if it's just a mild recession, there are a lot of people that got this bridge debt that are going to be in trouble. And, I've talked about that on the show. In fact, we just met a guy who they're adjusting his rate, and his cap is over, and he's going from $8,000 a month to $80,000 a month in payment. And he's in big trouble. And I think there's quite a few of those, honestly. So even if it's mild, I think there's still going to be opportunity. We passed on it. We couldn't get the price where we needed, but I think that, there's no question we're heading for a reckoning. I did a Facebook Live post on this and talked about, the fact that there are 20 million families behind in their utilities in this country, which is staggering. 20 million families behind in utilities. When I lost everything in 2009, I built a litigation support company to help families that were in foreclosure. And we helped thousands of families. I hated the business because nobody's happy when they're losing their house, but
Right.
we helped thousands of families save their homes. And I sold that business a few years ago, and I had lunch with the guy I sold it to, and they are like going crazy right now. He said it's like a tsunami of foreclosures because they held off. Not only did they put a moratorium on evictions, they put a moratorium on foreclosures. Well, those are all coming to light right now. And so that's happening. And you couple that with the insane inflation, the insane gas. And, the current administration has been trying to lower the gas by selling our reserves. And then, this inflation is because of too much spending, insane spending. And then they're going to throw $1 trillion at student loan debt. I mean, you just can't. It's just one stupidity after another. Don't get me started. But so I think it's going to get worse. And I don't know that the interest rate, increases are going to solve the problem. I mean, yeah, they're going to slow down spending, but a lot of people smarter than me are saying it's going to be Elon Musk quoted as saying they're lying to you. The crash is going to be bigger than they say. Trump, love him or hate him, said it could be much worse than people think. He compared it to the Great Depression. So who knows? I mean, again, a lot of people are going to get sucked into fear. And I will tell you, I think after the midterms, I know it's a long answer to your question, but
no, it's perfect. It's perfect.
Okay. Yeah, I think after the midterms, I think the news is going to get really ugly. And because I think there's going to be a political shift. And of course, there's a big influence on the media from the left, and that will, they're going to want to make things look really bad. And I think that's to be expected. And so I think what's coming or what's important in what's coming is to be really, focused on positive, focused on your goals, focused on what you want, because it's going to be really easy to get sucked into the fear. But it could be, a lot of people say it could be the greatest transfer of wealth in history if it happens. And they'll with that, of course, will be incredible opportunity. So, I'm conserving cash. I'm in a lot of cash, building relationships with people with cash. And so, because cash is king in a situation like that. Now, I hope it's not as bad as some of them say it's going to be, because there'll just be a lot of pain, but I'm not going to be fearful of it. And I'm dragging around this big bag of losing 50 million, memory of losing all that. And so, it's, I have to fight it. I have to fight the fear myself, honestly, full disclosure. But what are your thoughts?
Well, what you just said, fear of fighting myself has been the thing that has held me back for so many years in my career. I'm actually doing a TED Talk about that on the 30th of this month.
Oh, congratulations, buddy.
Yeah, it's around fear of fighting myself from past losses or mistakes that I've made.
Wow.
And so that's the most powerful thing you could have said all day. But I'll tell you that I've had the analogy that, we've had historic interest rates low forever. Well, you can't hold that without the counter going as we hadn't seen interest rates as high as I think they may go. And I
know, I will tell you, when I got in the business, Alvin, I don't know how old you are, but I'm 62.
I'm 57.
Okay. Well, back when I first started, interest rates were 18%.
Well, that's
okay.
When I remember the first time.
Yeah, I remember doing backflips when they hit 7%. I'm like, 7%? Are you freaking kidding me? And so, and so people are like, how can you make any money? Well, I'll tell you, it's this business is empirical. It's numbers, and so pricing's going to come down. Yep. Rents, of course, will likely continue to go up, but they'll flatline maybe through a really rough patch here. But you can make money at high interest rates. It's just it's just different. That's all. But yeah, I think they've got a lot further to go, candidly. Yep. Now, a lot of the operators, I host a mastermind. There's about 16 billion in assets in it. And we had a meeting. We're having a meeting actually in about 3 weeks, but we had a meeting, the last one. We do them every 3 times a year. And I was the bear. Everybody else was, it's no big deal. The interest rates will come back down first quarter next year. And I'm like, I don't think so. I think it's going to be ugly for a while. And I was the dissenting voice. So we'll see. I'm wrong all the time. Kids love to tell me, are you tired of being wrong? So, who knows if I'm wrong, but I keep seeing these headlines, and they're kind of buried too. They're not like big in your face. They kind of buried some of the really negative stuff, all the layoffs that are happening. Like,
right.
There was a survey that 50% of the companies in the country are laying people off, big and little. And so, that was a survey.
You hadn't heard that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. And it hadn't been widely spread yet.
No, it hasn't. And so, I do believe after the midterms, which are coming up shortly, that if there is a big political shift, which is expected, I think the news is going to be really ugly, and perception is reality. So I think the fear will be rampant. But then, I'm reminded of Warren Buffett's famous quote, be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. That's and right. There's been a lot of greed these last couple of years. And so, again, be fearful then. But I think when the fear is prevalent, then there'll be, really good opportunity for the people that don't get sucked into the fear. So
I agree. We're focusing really on growth, and that's personal growth in relationships, growth financially, and literally just growth, so that we don't get sucked into that fear side of things. Yeah,
you don't know a lot about my ecosystem, but I think my success has been hinged on the fact that I spent so much time on mindset and psychology, and my God, and what's coming, that's going to be critical because, and I know, and let me say this to you, those of you listening to me, I know every one of you is a leader. You wouldn't be here if you weren't. And in what's coming, the world needs leaders right now more than ever. And as a leader, your focus is critical. And so don't get sucked into crap on the news, because it is just crap. I don't care what side of the fence you're on. It's just a lot of it is BS and opinion and propaganda. And so it's really important to stand guard at the door to your mind and bring in just the good stuff. If you listen to my podcast, I do my motivational clips every week. So those, or go on YouTube and watch good stuff, and just be real careful of what you allow to influence you, so that you can capitalize on what's coming instead of getting sucked up and balled up in fear, worried about what's coming. So, but, I'm glad you asked, because I talk about this on other podcasts, and I don't talk about it enough on this show. So I'm really glad you flipped it on me and asked me.
Kindred spirits, right?
Yeah, for sure. So listen, talk about your development stuff, because I was really impressed with what you got going on there. So brag a little bit about what you're doing there.
Well, Rod, I have I've been in real estate 40 years, and it started with, like you said, the handyman. So I grew up in the construction phase of this and lending, and I saw a system of construction back in 1996 when I did a loan for, Evander Holyfield loaned this guy some money. And this guy was setting up a wall plant to build all of his wall frames in a closed environment. And so I just had that seed planted that long ago. And here we are 25 years later, I guess. And we bought a subdivision in Greenville, Texas 2 years ago. We were going to build 300 houses. I felt like I didn't have enough cash to stay in the multifamily space. So I wanted to go build some single family homes really quickly and then come back with a pile of cash. But what we wound up doing was selling those lots to a national builder. Actually, we started delivering lots this month. So that's really cool that we did that.
Nice.
Took 2 years to get that done through COVID. I learned so much, with force majeure and all those kind of clauses that guys have in their contracts.
Right.
But
let me stop you there for a second, because people may not know what that is. So please be ready to pick back up. So force majeure, guys, is, when there's something outside of your control that impacts your ability to execute on a contract. And I'll give you a great example, because I had it happen in my hotel contracts for my live events, where there's an act of nature like or something that out of your control, like COVID, where you can't have boot camps. And I became very familiar with what force majeure meant, which is, you have the ability to get out of a contract because of an act of God. And then now it's, now in the contracts, it's much more clearly defined than it was back then. But anyway, I just wanted to elaborate on what that meant. So please continue.
No, that's good, because we dealt with that with my GC that was putting in this neighborhood for us and all of the contractors that he had contracts with.
Right.
So it took us about a year longer to get it done. Cost us a substantial amount of money more than we thought it was going to cost.
Sure.
But we still made some money. But anyway, in the process of doing that, I was looking for a way to build 300 homes in a year. And I said, well, if I can do 300 houses, surely I can do 300 apartments. And so we found a system called structurally insulated panels. This SIP building system has been around for 40 years, 50 years. It's approved by HUD. I found some of the best manufacturers in the country that wanted to partner with me in doing this. And so our goal, Rod, what we're marching toward is 20,000 units in 5 years. We're going to start 1,000 units this year was a target. We fell a little bit short. We're going to be at about 850 units this year with a start. Next year, we'll start 3,000 units. We'll start 5,000 units in 2024, 8,000 units in 2025. And I believe that'll put us over 20,000 units.
That's called a BHAG, guys. Big, hairy, audacious goal. BHAG. Love it. Well, of course, the economy is going to
impact that.
Impact all of that, because and it is what it is. But if you don't shoot for the moon, if you shoot for this, if you shoot for the moon, if you only hit the stars, you're doing fine, right? Or something like that. I think I messed up that quote, but it's and you got to have that, and I love it, buddy. And so
let me tell you more about than the numbers. It's more about the system.
Okay, so talk about that.
I said 5 years, and this is good for everybody in that's listening to your podcast. It's not. I said 20,000 units in 5 years. But what I really believe is it'll take me 5 years to build an ecosystem that will continue to feed itself. Yeah. And that ecosystem includes buying the land, entitling all of the land, designing our own buildings, which we've already started, being able to finance our buildings. And we're using tax-exempt bonds to do it. We're using syndicated deals to do it. So we've got a 501c3 vehicle where we can provide affordable housing to public housing authorities and et cetera. So all of that system for 5 years, it'll take us that long to build that up to where we'll run forever. So not only are we doing market rate housing, doing workforce housing, but we also have the ability and are doing affordable housing, as you mentioned earlier.
No, that's fantastic.
One of those verticals will continue to be a need. And the way we're constructing these with this manufactured system allows us to do it in any climate, in any environment. Our construction time is about a third less than typical stick building. And we get to make money off of our utilities by saving. Let me rephrase that. We get to save our residents a pile of money by having a system that allows you to predict exactly what your utility bills will be in any climate. So in the north, where it's below zero 4 months out of the year, they typically have $400 or $500 a month heating bills. Not with this system. We can predict that our utility bills will be $40, $50 a month.
Really?
Yeah.
Because the construction type.
Correct. It's just like a refrigerator. It doesn't know if it's on the equator or if it's in the North Pole. It's 32 degrees in the freezer and it's 34 in the refrigerator.
So is that well insulated then? This particular construction method.
That's correct.
How does it compare price wise as for construction cost wise? Because I mean I know a lot of operators really struggle to get into the affordable housing or affordable niche, as it were, whatever that means, and because the construction cost is so high, they have to go A class to have the numbers make sense. So could you speak to that?
Yeah, our construction costs on our 200 unit deal in Princeton, Texas, was 78 cents per foot more. So you're talking about 200,000 square foot development, $250,000 more. But it's not just with the panels. It's really engineering the whole system. The panels are one piece of it. Your HVAC systems, where we're typically using 450, 500 square feet per ton of AC, we can go 1,200 square foot per ton of AC. Wow. So we're downsizing all the mechanicals. We're changing the wiring from Romex to Cat 6 cabling for LED lighting. And so there's so many things that go into driving the cost down and the long-term efficiency in these buildings. So it's really been
that's cool.
a really cool process to
That's
watch
really cool.
engineer.
By the way, guys, a 501c3 is a charitable organization under the IRS code. And I've got one, my Tiny Hands Foundation to help kids. And so you're doing it for affordable housing, which is awesome. Now, are you able to offer affordable rents, or is it the savings under the utilities that makes it more affordable, or is it the debt you're getting, or is it the grants, or how are you able to offer affordable solution to people? Is it all the above? What are some of the things that allow you to offer affordable solutions?
Good question, Rod.
Yeah,
great question. And different scenarios for different situations. So with our workforce community, some of that is just done with regular rents, but having a naturally occurring affordable housing mechanism where you can predict what your utility costs will be.
Okay.
Where our rents are in line with straight workforce housing rents, but you don't have the fluctuation in utility bills, right?
Okay.
If we're partnering with the public housing authority, that public housing authority has the ability to have this property exempt from property taxes. So when we're exempt from property,
that's
taxes,
huge. That's the biggest expense that you have.
That's exactly right. So when we're able to be exempt from property taxes, then we're able to construct this at a lower cost of operations and have lower rents that way.
That's huge.
In partnership with the public housing authority, the taxes they use what they call a utility allowance calculation for the residents. For a one-bedroom unit, just say that all of the utilities are calculated to be at $100 per month. Well, with that calculation in these efficient buildings, we know for a fact that our utility bills will not exceed $40 per month. So there's a $60 a month delta that public housing authority could actually capture as far as income. So there's an income generator, there's a savings for all the residents, there's a long-term effect, or there's a direct benefit to the residents that, we just saw a COVID crisis where we were worried about our neighbors catching COVID.
Right.
In a insulated unit like this, that is not possible because the air does not transfer from unit to unit. Each unit ventilates outside within itself. So creating almost like a hospital-like environment in all of these communities.
That's cool too. Yeah, that's cool too. In an apartment complex, you don't have that, especially with interior hallways and stuff. So
that's correct.
Yeah. Interesting.
So it's really an industry disruptor when it comes to the construction, the way it's constructed, because we're always used to doing this and doing it that way and standing our 2x up and shooting a nail in the bottom of it. And these things withstand winds up to 200 miles per hour. They're seismic proof to some seismic code or level G. So that means, earthquakes. Buildings move a little bit. And so these things are really structurally.
Where are your projects right now? What states?
Right now, we're building in Texas and in Wisconsin. So we're right outside of Green Bay and in Princeton, Texas.
Very nice.
That's where we're
I love the the collaboration with the the housing authorities and whatnot, and you're able to do that through the 501c3 component of the business, I would guess, and love that. But that's a lot of plates you're spinning. There's a lot of relationships, a lot of red tape and bureaucracy and stuff. Talk about your team for a minute. I mean, how are you able to put all that together?
Well, I'm probably the relationship management person.
Okay.
Our 501c3 has only 4 employees. We've got real small team that do that from our asset management. We outsource all of our management itself. With our construction, we have a team of about 13 individuals that sit on the high level that work from. So there's several different entities involved in that, and I'm a part of some of those entities, Rod. So we've got a consultant. They're all consultants that bring these products together for the 501c3. So it's really a dynamic setup to where everybody that's worked 20 plus years in their collective field or in their respective field have come together to put together a system to bring these buildings to fruition. So it's really dynamic.
Very
to watch
cool.
this stuff come together.
Very cool. Well,
and I'm just glad that I've got to meet you on Clubhouse, man. I've been seeing you all over YouTube for the last 5 years and wondering who this guy is, and now we're on Clubhouse. And
I haven't been on there in a bit. I need to get on there again, but I had a big event this last weekend, and I've got 2 more events clocked up after this. And I know you had an event too, and it's only so much time in the day and whatnot. But no, I love what you're doing, and I'd love to learn more about it. The affordable housing is just, there's such a need in this country, and if you've found a solution to that problem, I mean, every city in the country has that problem, and if you've got a solution to that problem with the mitigating the tax bill, for example, and so on and so forth, that makes constructing affordable housing realistic and still you've got shareholders and investors and things that need to get a return on their money, and if you've figured that out, that's huge, man.
We figured it out, a way to do good while doing good.
Oh, I love that, man. I'm going to probably I want to circle back with you on that, because I really love that. I mean, I know, like I said, there's a lot to it. And I think now I understand why you said, you're developing the systems right now, because there's if you can streamline that to a point where you're able to scale more.
It's almost a copyrighted system that we've developed.
No kidding. Love it.
From the design of the building with the mechanical systems. Mm-hmm. It's a 48 unit building with 1 and 2 bedroom units. If we need 3 bedroom units, we do those in a townhome style environment, where we do 5 attached units separate and apart from the 4-story structure. So when we're developing those, the units are typically 4-story interior corridors. The 2-story townhomes with the 3-story units are a buffer between the
3-bedroom units.
3-bedroom units. Yes, I'm sorry, not 3-story.
Right.
3-bedroom units are 2-story, and those are the buffers between the community that we're building next to, where most people don't want to see a 4-story building in a community with 2-story homes.
Nice.
So those 2-story, 3-bedroom units are a buffer. So this thing is literally just about copyrightable. We're finishing up the final details with the Detson is our manufacturer of our mechanical systems. Mm-hmm. So they're very comparable to a Goodman or a Train system that you're used to seeing.
Sure.
But they're in a mini split business. And so we've got
so that's the solution. Those are also incredibly economical. I've got one on my wall here, and they're so much more economical than HVAC, because and I know this because I literally went through the hurricane, and I met somebody because I want to get another generator for my compound. I had half the compound had power, I've got a huge generator out here to do half of it. And I said, screw it, I'm going to get another one because I don't want to go through this, because I didn't have internet, because I got internet coming in one of the other buildings, TMI. But the point is, I had a guy out here to quote the generator, and he's like, man, it's a good thing you got some mini splits over there, because they're so much more efficient than an HVAC unit. They don't draw hardly any power. And I'm like, really? So I can see why you're using those. Yeah.
So when you got a 700 square foot unit that is run on a mini split, a ducted head mini split.
Ducted. So interesting.
So instead of putting your head on the wall, we're running 3-inch flex ducts off of that mini split system.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah, because my mini splits are just, right through the wall, and they're into one room. So you're ducting in one. Wow, that's cool.
So we're mounting in a 9-foot ceiling unit where you typically have your AC unit at your 8-foot level in the hallway, mounting that system there. The whole mini split system is there, and it's running ducts to every room from that hallway.
Wow. Very cool. Very cool. And it's able to support it because of the insulation quality of the construction.
That's correct.
That is fascinating, buddy. Yeah. I'm going to come back to you. We're going to talk about this some more, because I'm very interested, because that, I tell you, that is a crisis across the whole country. And we won't even get into the crisis that's coming for our elderly, but just affordable housing in general is a crisis in this country. And if you've got a solution for that, that is extraordinary. Honestly. Right. Yeah. Oh, I love it, man. I absolutely love it. Well, listen, buddy, it's been great to have you on the show. I appreciate you coming on. It's great to actually see you face to face and instead of just hearing you on Clubhouse and definitely want to follow up on our conversations here. But
after the holidays are over with, man, I look forward to meeting you. I need to maybe meet you in Tiff.
Come down, man. I've got a guest house, Mi Casa. I'd love to have you down. I'd love to have you down and strategize, compare notes, and see if we can add value to each other. But you're doing good things, my friend, and that's really really super admirable.
So you're right.
Yeah. All right, buddy. Well, listen, you be well, and we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we will. Thanks.
All right. Take care.
Rod, I know a lot of our listeners are wanting to take their multifamily investing business to the next level. Now, I know you've been hard at work helping our Warrior students do just that using our ACT methodology, which is awareness, close, and transform. Can you explain to the listeners how they can get our help?
You bet. Guys, we've been going nonstop for 3 years, building an amazing community of like-minded people. And our coaching students, which we call our Warriors, have had extraordinary results. They've purchased thousands and thousands of units. And last year, we did over 1,000 units with our students. And we're looking to grow this group and take it to the next level. We're looking for people who want to follow a proven framework that's really step by step and then leverage our systems and network to raise equity, to find and close deals, and to build partnerships nationwide. Now, our Warrior community is finding success in any market cycle. So if you're interested in finding out more about how you can become more of our incredible network and take advantage of the incredible opportunities that are coming very soon, apply to work with us at mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345 and we'll set up a call so you can check us out and we can check you out. That's mentorwithrod.com or text CRUSH to 72345.